topical a week on from the federal budget, and the government cannot escape the anger. Small business owners continue to lash Labor over changes to taxes. They're now venting their frustrations in a wave of AI-generated memes, showing the Prime Minister as a part owner taking part in things like Pilates and construction. Due to the higher tax rates, they're posting the pictures alongside lines like, "Meet our new business partner, Albo. He now owns 47% of the company." It comes as business owners fork out thousands on accountants and lawyers just to help them understand what has changed. For their take, let's bring in Amanda Rose, CEO of Western Sydney Women, and Luke Boner of the Bonafide podcast. Amanda, we've got young entrepreneurs saying, the budget was supposed to help us. This was the idea. That was supposed to help young people. It's now filtering down that they are worried. Do you share that?
Well, they were already suffering. So the entrepreneur sector has been hurting now for quite some time. A lot of initiatives have been cancelled, and in particular women who only get 4% of the funding they get from the external world. So they need all the help they can get. So what this has said is it's going to be harder for people to choose to invest in a startup or, someone's got a great new tech product or something like that, because if they sell, they're part of it, they're going to get taxed more. So it's about productivity, it's about initiative and people that are willing to put in the risk. And when it comes to starting a business, I have a couple, I help people that run and start businesses. The risk they put in, the amount of time they put in, unpaid, sometimes for years, to get it to that stage, then it thrives. And all of a sudden, the government's saying, if you're successful, we want to punish you for that. And they've used this narrative that it's not fair that you get a tax break when employees have to pay this tax. Well, hang on a minute, how about the 5 years before that when they were working for free and still paying taxes on anything that they earned?
Yeah, a lot of people are telling us that, Luke, people don't, they, go to bed, sweat over their business, build it up for years. They often don't take much of a salary for many years. And the worry and the time and effort that they put in, and now they're curious or angry at the very least about how this is going to affect them. It's really thrown a spanner in the works.
It has, and it's also a bit ambiguous, all this. The memes are very funny, but a little bit mischievous. They're saying the Prime Minister or the government owns 47% of my business now, and the government will tell you, no, it's 25 or 30, depending on your income and your taxable income. But, you're 100% right. I've owned a small business. It was hell. And many small businesses don't pay themselves for up to 2 years.
Yeah, or more, or not very much.
Or not very much. And, this Labor insider, Lachlan Harris, is no dummy. I mean, he was the guy who came up with the Kevin 07 campaign. And he's saying, well, why is the Prime Minister and why is the government saying, start-up techs cost nothing to start? Well, hang on. There's more to small business than start-up techs in, what did he say, in Surrey Hills. You've got small businesses from sandwich shops to coffee shops, to you name it, and these people are working so hard. Everything's
They're holding
at
up
risk.
the economy.
Everything. Small business is the backbone of this country. Now, how many people in the Labor Party voting on these policies have owned a small business? How many have actually owned them and put everything at risk? Have lost sleep? They've got employees.
I just don't like the narrative of demonising, saying, they're getting tax breaks. So they're trying to turn people against the small business community by saying, they get all these tax breaks because of the trust or the capital gains break and all this type of thing, linking them to, say, the billionaires and people that get tax breaks. So go and get the taxes that haven't been paid by tech companies and gas companies or whomever, but not the small business owner, who is 97% of the businesses in this country are run by small business, and 40% of the private workforce they hire. So they go down, unemployment goes up.
100%. We've got to look after small business, and what's the definition of a small business? And then you've got a payroll tax, which is the most obscene.
You get taxed for everything: company tax, payroll tax.
Payroll tax and GST is state-based.
You've got income,
but also the economy is also run a lot on sentiment. And if you talk to people in the last few days, people are getting less phone calls, less people walking through the doors, and that is going to have an impact too.
That already has.
Exactly. Just anecdotally talking to people. Do you think they will backflip on this? Because there's sort of murmurings that they may realise what this has done. You've got Labor backbenchers saying some of our guys may have forgotten that this is affecting our people.
Oh, I know they're panicking. So there are Labor MPs calling their local businesses and asking them, what do you think about the budget? What advice do you have for me?
Really?
Yes. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're probably worried they're going to lose their seat. Because I guarantee you, they just handed on a platter to the Liberal Party and to One Nation, hi, if you handle this properly, you might win the next election.
And do you know what? It is poll-driven, isn't it? We've seen that before. We've seen Prime Ministers sacked because of polling. But you know what I wonder? We saw that Resolve poll yesterday and you discussed it here on Sunrise. And I wonder how many of that backlash against the Prime Minister and the now support for Angus Taylor was based initially on the lies or the deception. And now people are going, how does this actually now affect me? And it's starting to sink in, and they're thinking, well, it's more than just the deception and the promises before the election. This is actually really going to hit me. And it reminds me, do you remember John Hewson trying to explain the consumption tax on the birthday cake on Mike Willesee?
Yeah.
Well, this is getting like this. It's getting just like John Hewson and the birthday cake.
But if the Liberal Party don't, handle this properly, which they have a history of not handling it properly, with policy to say, obviously we don't agree with it and they're pushing back, but what is a replacement? What do you want for small business?
Exactly. And I think a lot of people would say, OK, if you've got 10 investment properties, fair enough, you shouldn't get tax breaks. Maybe we can rein it in. It's not like
it's not means tested.
Maybe means tested or maybe reduce it. It's not like people are saying throw all of it out. We need to restructure.
Let's look at private equity. Let's look at how many, all the build-to-rents they own and all the hundreds and thousands of properties they own. Leave the people alone that are trying to literally build a life that doesn't rely on government. So these people will have a retirement that they've worked for, that they can look after themselves and not rely on government.
And you've also got, 80-year-old mums and dads now looking at the trust that they put the investment property in 40 years ago, saying, what do I do now? They have to go pay their lawyer, trying to work out what it's about.
It is so murky. As I said, it's John Hewson's birthday cake all over again. But this is why I think the Conservative vote is really swinging towards One Nation, because they'll go, Pauline Hanson owned a fish and chip shop. She gets it.
I don't think it's just Conservatives, because I think it's anyone that realises that if I'm going to put in effort, I want to be rewarded for that, whether it's a workplace or whether it's a small business. If our government is just going to tax me simply because I've put in more effort, then I'm going to vote somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm being taxed on success and employing people.
That's right.
And that's what they don't get.
Oh, they get it. They just want the money.
OK. Look, if you are from a small business family and you are going through this at the moment, let us know what's happening in your family, what you're doing and how it's going to affect you or how you think it's going to affect you. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Here's Michael.